Well, happy Mother's Day to all of the moms out there. I had a nice conversation with my mom today, and she talked all about the family and different phone calls she received and things going on in her life down there in California. And she talked about needing to go walking again because she likes to walk each day and has had a little bit of a hard time getting motivated. Well, if you watched my last video, you know that I am not very motivated to go running, but I received this magazine in the mail, Runner's World. And I kind of joked about it last week, but you know what? Then I started feeling guilty. And you might notice there's some check marks off here. They have 41 days here for going at least a mile. And I've got 6 of them checked off, and I've got a pen here, and I'm going to check another one off in just a little bit. So I haven't started running yet. I've gone over a mile each day, but I'm old, okay? Let's face it, if I went out and ran a mile, I'd probably collapse. So I have a basic plan of going a mile and then running a quarter of that mile and then running a half of that mile and then building up. Now, those of you who run, you're just going to laugh out loud at me talking about running a quarter of a mile and then walking the rest. But hey, I'm old and out of shape, and you don't want me to die, so that's my plan. What I have found is the only shoe that I have really is this. It's a Converse, and Converse are cool. They're cool looking and they're stylish and everything, but I tell you what, they're not very fun to run in. There's kind of a clong, clong, clong that goes on. So I got out my magazine and looked up running shoes. And this one here is called the Brooks Launch. And I looked at the prices and I thought, well, maybe I need to find an alternative to one of these things. But again, this is a world I don't relate to. He talks here about how this shoe has a very responsive feel, and the cushioning protects your lower legs. I like that. And he says, this happens to be my second fastest 6-mile office loop that he ran in this shoe. And I read that. And I understood the word fastest, but I don't know what a 6-mile office loop is. What is an office loop? I don't know. But what I do know is the shoe is pretty cool looking. Now, all I know in choosing a running shoe is, hey, that color looks awesome. Being a Giants fan, I might go with black and orange. But I don't know anything about it. But I do know that my Converse isn't going to cut it once I start running. Well, I also set some other goals for myself. I wanted to listen to everything that Beethoven ever wrote, and I'm working on it. I listened to all the symphonies and the 5 piano concertos and the violin concerto and all the string quartets. I'm on number 22 of the piano sonatas, all the violin sonatas, cello sonatas, so I'm really enjoying it. I'm hearing a lot of music that I haven't heard before, and so I've enjoyed that goal. And I don't just sit around listening to the music. I put it on while I'm doing stuff or reading, and sometimes it catches my attention and I just pause and drink in the beauty. I also have finished the book I started reading, First Salute, which takes place in the Revolutionary War time. And you know what? There's some cool quotes in here. I'll just read some of them to you. They don't really have any connection necessarily to anything, except I like how she puts things. So she has this scene where there's this admiral in the Navy who gets into trouble, and he comes back to England, and they start making all of these speeches about whether he should be punished or not. And this is what she says. When the party system regulates, argument addresses the deaf. What she means is there's 2 parties in their political system that are standing up and arguing all night long, speech after speech after speech. And this is what she says. When the party system regulates, argument addresses the deaf. Doesn't that sound familiar? Nobody's really listening to anything because they've already decided what they're going to do. Here's another thing she said that was interesting. She's talking about conditions in the British Navy. Tolerance of disgusting living conditions, accepted with no effort at improvement, bespoke a mental lethargy that underlay the general reluctance to change old habits. Alternatives were not beyond reach. Means of improving hygiene and sanitation could have been devised if they had been wanted, for men can usually work out the technical means to obtain what is truly desired, unless the refrain, "it can't be done," becomes their guide. And then, let's see, over here she talks about, where is this? Oh, in England, there wasn't unanimity on whether they should fight the revolutionary or fight America during the Revolutionary War. It says the lesson was not yet clear in the 18th century, as America was to learn to her cost in her own century, that the presence of disunity in the military about method and strategy, and among the nation's people about the rightness of the war aim, makes it impossible for a war of any duration to be fought effectively and won. And let's see, is there another thing? Oh, well, I thought this was interesting comment about George Washington. To rise above and persevere in spite of discouragement required a spiritual strength, a kind of nobility in Washington rare in history of generalship. And I appreciated that comment about Washington. When he faced difficulties, he saw opportunity. And this last one just cracked me up. This is what you get when you read history. The Americans were attacking a British fort, and it says the American cavalry officer, Colonel William Washington, fashioned an imitation cannon from a tree trunk, and pulling it up, though not too close for inspection, summoned the fort to surrender, and the British general surrendered without firing a shot. I love that. He just took what was at hand, which was a tree, and made it look like a cannon. So anyway, what is this post about? Well, it's now the 8th Sunday we've been apart from church. And some of you are working harder than ever, and some of you are work is all weird, or some of you you're not working. You're waiting for unemployment to sign up for it or whatever. And I'm just sharing some of the goals that I'm setting. Reading this book, listening to Beethoven's music, and a goal that I did not have was the company sent me this magazine, Runner's World. I'm not a runner, and now there I am checking off boxes. I'm going to take it slow because I don't want to hurt myself, but I got to thinking about it and I thought, since I'm unhealthy and I have high blood pressure, this would be a good thing for me to do, which I know will disappoint some of you, because some of you are like, yes, our pastor hates running. Yes. Well, sorry about that. Anyway, I'm praying for you guys and look forward to hearing more this week about what's going on in your life.